I'll never forget the night everything came crashing down. The night my marriage, my dignity, and whatever was left of my blind trust in people evaporated in the ugliest way possible. Her name is Jessica, my wife of 9 years. And me? I'm Michael, a man who thought loyalty still meant something in this world. That night, I was driving home earlier than usual. I'd skipped out on drinks with the guys because something felt off, like an itch under the skin that won't go away. Call it instinct, call it divine intervention, but it pulled me right back to the doorstep of my own house, my own prison. I'd soon learn. The first clue? Her car was in the driveway. Now, Jessica always claimed she was working late, closing deals, or some other corporate fairy tale. But the lights in the bedroom were on. Bedroom, not office, not kitchen, bedroom. I killed the engine and sat there for a second, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me from flying apart. My gut tightened, but part of me, the stupid, naive part, still wanted to believe she was just home early, waiting with dinner or maybe candles. Yeah, right. I slipped the key into the front door, real quiet, and pushed it open. And then I heard it. The sound no man should ever have to hear coming from his own house. The sound of his wife giggling, whispering, and then muffled groans. Not the sound of her watching TV. Not the sound of her reading a book. The walls echoed with betrayal. I crept up the stairs like a soldier in enemy territory. My hands were trembling, fists clenched. Every step was heavier than the last, and my heart was hammering in my chest so hard I swore they must have heard it upstairs. And then I saw it. The door to our bedroom was cracked open, and through that sliver of hell I saw Jessica, my wife, straddling some guy like she'd been starving for it. And she wasn't just with some random stranger either. My blood went ice cold when I recognized him. Ryan, her business partner. The same guy she'd sworn up and down was just a friend. The same smug bastard she said I was too insecure about. I didn't kick the door down. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe. I stood there, frozen, watching the life I built with her burn to ashes right before my eyes. She was whispering things to him, sweet things she hadn't said to me in years. Her voice was dripping with a tenderness she'd long since stopped showing me. And then she laughed. That laugh, sharp, cruel, careless. It sliced through me like a knife. Because in that moment, I realized I wasn't even in her world anymore. I was just the fool paying the mortgage while she played house with someone else. I staggered back, my whole body shaking. My head was buzzing, dizzy with rage and disbelief. I wanted to storm in, rip him off her, drag her out of the house. But I didn't. Instead, I slipped back down the stairs, out the door, and into my car. I sat there in the dark, staring at the steering wheel, trying to process what I'd just seen. You ever feel your entire life collapse in a single instant? Like the floor beneath you just gave way, and now you're in free fall with nothing to grab onto? That's where I was. Jessica had always been a liar, but I didn't want to believe it. The late nights, the sudden girls' trips, the new lingerie she bought just for herself. I'd swallowed every excuse she fed me because I loved her. I loved her like a fool. But now, love felt like a sick joke. I started the engine and drove, nowhere in particular. Just away. My mind was a storm. Images of her with him flashing over and over like some twisted slideshow I couldn't turn off. And that was the beginning. The affair wasn't just a betrayal. It was a wrecking ball, and my entire life was about to come crashing down. Because what I didn't know yet was that Jessica's betrayal went far deeper than that one night. Much deeper. This wasn't just about her sneaking around. No, this was a scheme. A setup. A whole damn operation to bleed me dry and leave me broken. And she'd play it like the bitch she truly was, smiling, lying, and stabbing me in the back with a blade she sharpened herself. The thing about betrayal is that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once the mask slips, every little habit, every lie, every so-called coincidence suddenly lights up in neon. The morning after I caught Jessica and Ryan together, I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I played it cool. I left before she woke up, drove around aimlessly, and ended up sitting in a diner drinking black coffee like it was medicine. My brain wouldn't stop replaying the night before. The sight of them together had carved itself into my skull. But I needed more. I needed proof. Not just for myself, but because I knew Jessica. That woman could lie through her teeth, look you straight in the eyes, and still make you feel like the crazy one. So I started watching her. Not in a creepy way, no, in a survival way. Her lies were spider webs, and I was done being the fly. The first thing I noticed was her phone. She used to leave it lying around, no problem. Suddenly, she carried it everywhere, bathroom, kitchen, even when she went to check the mail. If I so much as glanced in its direction, she clutched it like it was made of gold. That's when I knew. Her phone wasn't just a phone anymore. It was the vault. I waited until one night she fell asleep on the couch. She had a glass of wine in her hand, lipstick smeared on the rim, her head tilted back like she didn't have a care in the world. I slid the phone out of her hand and slipped into the bathroom, locking the door. Her passcode was our anniversary date. Pathetic. And there it was. Text after text with Ryan. Photos. Videos. Her smiling at him in ways I hadn't seen in years. And the words. Jesus. Words she'd never said to me. Pet names. Promises. And worse, plans. They weren't just messing around. They were building a future. Together. I scrolled further, my hands trembling, until I hit the jackpot. Conversations with her friend Amanda. And that's when the true scope of the betrayal hit me. Amanda wasn't just covering for her. She was helping orchestrate it. She was the one calling Jessica's office, pretending to be her assistant when Jessica was too busy to talk. She was the one fabricating alibis. Hell, Amanda even sent Jessica money transfers so that her credit card statements wouldn't look suspicious. It wasn't an affair anymore. It was a goddamn conspiracy. I put the phone back where I found it, but from that moment on, I started collecting my own evidence. Emails she forgot to delete. Receipts that didn't add up. A hotel key card I found in her coat pocket. Piece by piece, I built the puzzle. And with each new discovery, my rage grew sharper. Then came the day that blew the lid off everything. I got a call from a mutual friend, David, who worked at the same company as Ryan. He sounded nervous, almost guilty. Mike, he said, you need to know something. I don't want to be in the middle of this, but I've seen Jessica and Ryan. At work. After hours. It's not professional. And there's talk that they're planning something big. Something about your house, your accounts. Just watch your back, man. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just about lust. It was about money. About my money. My property. My life. That night, I checked our joint bank account. Thousands were missing. Not hundreds. Thousands. Transferred out over weeks, sometimes in amounts small enough to avoid suspicion, sometimes in bold chunks like they thought I'd never notice. And then I found the smoking gun. Buried in her email drafts was a message she hadn't sent yet. It was to Ryan. The subject line read, "Final step." The body of the email chilled me to the bone. She was talking about pushing for divorce, claiming emotional abuse, making me look like the monster so she could take everything in court. Property. Savings. Even my damn trust fund from my uncle, the one that had been locked away for years. She wanted it all, and she was going to use the courts to strip me bare. That's when it hit me. I wasn't living with a wife. I was living with a predator. I couldn't hold it in anymore. The lies, the smirks, the secret texts that she thought I was too blind to see. It all boiled up until I was a ticking bomb. And one night, the bomb went off. Jessica came home late again. It was a Thursday, around 11 p.m., and she strutted in wearing that little black dress I hadn't seen in years. She smelled of expensive cologne, Ryan's cologne. I'd bet my life on it. Her lipstick was smeared, her hair a mess, and when she saw me sitting in the living room with the lights off, she froze. Jesus, Mike, you scared me, she said, tossing her purse on the table. She tried to act casual, but her voice had that edge, like she knew something was coming. Where were you? I asked. Calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that makes people nervous. With Amanda, she replied instantly. No hesitation, no stutter. Just a smooth lie rolling off her tongue. Girls' night. I told you about it. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, staring at her. Amanda? Yes, Amanda. She crossed her arms, her chin tilted like a queen looking down at a servant. Why do you ask? Don't you trust me? And that's when I pulled out my phone. I'd screenshotted her messages. The selfies in hotel rooms. The emails. The transfers. All of it. I swiped through them one by one, holding the screen up so she could see. Her face drained of color, then hardened into something sharper, meaner. Not shame. Not regret. Defiance. Are you serious right now? She snapped. You went through my phone? You're spying on me? Do you have any idea how sick that is? I almost laughed. The audacity. The woman caught red-handed, and somehow I was the villain. Don't flip this on me, Jess. I said, my voice cracking under the weight of everything I'd held in. I know about you and Ryan. I know about the money. I know about your plan. Hell, I even know about Amanda covering for you. So drop the act. For a moment, the mask slipped. Her eyes flashed with pure hatred. Then she smiled, slow, venomous, the kind of smile that makes you feel small. So what if I am, she said, her tone icy. What are you going to do about it? You think you're some big tough man, but you're nothing, Michael. Nothing without me. My chest burned. I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. After everything I gave her, after years of working myself to the bone to give her a good life, this is what I was to her. Nothing. You're my wife, I whispered. You're supposed to love me. She laughed. A cold, hollow laugh. Love? Oh, please. Grow up. Love doesn't pay the bills. Ryan knows how to take care of me. You. She waved her hand dismissively. You're just stuck. Playing house. Working like a dog while life passes you by. I stood up, shaking. So all this time, you've been lying to my face. Sleeping with him. Plotting against me. And you think I'm just going to roll over and take it? Her eyes narrowed. Yes. Because what choice do you have? In court, I'll paint you as the jealous, controlling husband. Ryan's a lawyer. Did you forget that? He'll shred you to pieces, and I'll walk away with everything. The house, the money, even your precious trust fund. Hearing it out loud, hearing her say it with pride, was like being stabbed in the gut. She wasn't even ashamed. She was gloating. I slammed my fist against the wall, the sound echoing through the room. She didn't flinch. She just smirked, like she'd already won. You're a monster, I said through gritted teeth. No, she said, her voice dripping with venom. I'm a survivor. You're the idiot who thought loyalty still meant something. That was it. That was the moment something inside me broke. Not just my trust, not just my heart, something deeper, something primal. I didn't hit her. I didn't scream. I didn't throw her out, though every cell in my body wanted to. I just stood there, staring at the woman I once thought was my soulmate, and realized she was a stranger. Worse than a stranger, an enemy. And as she turned on her heel and walked upstairs, muttering about how pathetic I was, I knew one thing for sure. Life as I knew it was over. The night after our confrontation, I didn't sleep. Not even a minute. I lay there staring at the ceiling, my body buzzing like I'd been injected with poison. Jessica slept upstairs like nothing happened, like she hadn't just admitted to tearing my life apart. I heard her snore, light and steady, while I sat downstairs with my thoughts ripping me to pieces. You'd think anger would have been the loudest emotion. But no, the anger came in waves. What really gutted me was the silence after the waves, the emptiness. The kind of emptiness that makes a man question his worth. I kept replaying her words in my head. You're nothing, Michael. Nothing without me. Over and over, like a cruel soundtrack. It's strange how someone you love can weaponize your deepest fears. I'd always worked myself to the bone, 3 jobs at one point, because deep down, I was terrified of not being enough. And here she was, confirming it. My own wife. I thought about the early days with her. How she used to laugh at my stupid jokes. How she clung to me like I was her anchor. I remembered the vacations we took when money was tighter, but spirits were lighter. I remembered the way she cried at our wedding, whispering promises about forever. And then I looked at the reality. Forever lasted right up until Ryan and his shiny lawyer paycheck showed up. The bitterness hit me hard. I started pacing the living room, muttering to myself like a lunatic. 9 years, Jess. 9 years. And you throw it away for him? For what? For money? For excitement? I laughed bitterly. The sound echoed off the walls, mocking me. By morning, I looked like hell. Bloodshot eyes, unshaven, hands trembling from too much coffee and not enough peace. I went into work but couldn't focus. My boss asked if I was okay, and I nearly broke down right there. Instead, I lied. Just tired. Funny how lying comes easy when you've been lied to enough. When I got home, Jessica was on the phone, laughing again. She quickly hung up when she saw me. That laugh hit me harder than a punch. It wasn't for me. It hadn't been for me in a long time. I retreated to the garage, sat in the car, and just stared at the steering wheel. That's when the hopelessness set in. The thought I never wanted to admit. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am nothing. The spiral was brutal. Nights blurred into mornings. I stopped eating properly, lost weight. I'd scroll through our old photos, torturing myself with what used to be. My friends noticed the change. David called me, worried. Mike, Don't let her do this to you, man. She's not worth it. But when your whole world is built around someone, it's hard to accept that they're not worth it. The anger kept sneaking back, though. One day, I found one of Ryan's cufflinks under the bed. That tiny piece of metal was like a spark to gasoline. I threw it against the wall, shattered a picture frame, and screamed until my throat burned. I wanted to smash everything in that house because none of it felt like mine anymore. The walls, the bed, even the damn kitchen table, all tainted. And yet, in the middle of all that rage, there was grief. Pure, raw grief. I'd lost her long before I caught her. She'd been gone for months, maybe years, while I was still holding onto the ghost of the woman I married. One night, I broke down completely. I drove to a quiet spot outside town, parked, and sobbed into the steering wheel until my chest ached. I wasn't crying for Jessica. Not anymore. I was crying for the man I used to be. The man who still believed in forever, who still believed love meant loyalty. That man was dead. She killed him with every lie, every betrayal, every smug smile when she thought she had me fooled. But here's the thing about pain. It teaches. It strips you raw, but in that rawness, you start to see things clearly. I realized Jessica never respected me. Not once. She loved the stability, the comfort, the image of being married. But me? Michael? I was a placeholder. A stepping stone. The shock faded into anger, the anger into sadness, and then finally, a strange sort of clarity. I knew I couldn't keep living like this, broken, hollow, stuck in her web. Something had to give. And that's when the seed of a decision planted itself in my mind. A decision that would change everything. Clarity doesn't come in one clean burst. It creeps in, like daylight bleeding through blinds after a long night. After weeks of drowning in betrayal, I finally felt a shift. Small, almost invisible, but it was there. The realization that if I didn't act, Jessica and Ryan would devour me alive. I remember sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of cold coffee in front of me, papers spread everywhere, bank statements, bills, fragments of evidence I'd collected. My hands shook as I pieced it all together. Every dollar missing, every forged excuse, every hotel charge. The evidence was undeniable. But the real question was, what now? One option was to fight, drag Jessica to court, expose her lies, go to war with Ryan on his own legal turf. But I knew what she'd already said. Ryan was a lawyer. He'd spin it, twist it, make me look like the bitter, jealous husband who couldn't handle losing his wife. And Jessica? She'd play the victim like she'd been rehearsing for years. The other option was darker. Walk away, let them have it all, burn myself down just to escape. But that meant giving up not only the house, the money, the life I built, but also my pride. And I wasn't ready to hand them my pride. I kept hearing my uncle's voice in my head. He was the one who always told me, Michael, a man can lose everything and still rebuild. But if he loses his self-respect, he's done. That voice anchored me. So I decided, I wouldn't let Jessica win. I wouldn't let Ryan waltz in, steal my wife, my money, and my dignity, and walk away untouched. No, if they wanted war, they'd get one. The first step was survival. I started stashing away cash, small amounts here and there so Jessica wouldn't notice. I opened a separate account, something only I had access to. I sold a few personal things on the side, tools, collectibles, even my old guitar. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The second step was information. I reached out to David again, the one who'd tipped me off. We met in a bar on the edge of town, quiet enough that nobody would overhear. Mike, he said, lowering his voice, you've got to be careful. Ryan's not just some random guy. He's connected. He knows how to play the system. I don't care, I told him. I just need proof. Enough to make them choke on their own lies. David slid a folder across the table. Inside were copies of emails, time-stamped entries, even security footage of Jessica and Ryan leaving the office together late at night. It wasn't a smoking gun, but it was damn close. Why are you helping me? I asked. He sighed. Because I've seen too many good men get destroyed by people like them. And you don't deserve this. That night, for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to hope. Thin, fragile, but real. But Jessica, of course, sensed the shift. She had a predator's instinct. She started baiting me, throwing digs, trying to make me snap. You look tired, Mike, she'd sneer. Maybe you should work harder. Maybe if you were half the man Ryan is, I wouldn't need to look elsewhere. I clenched my jaw and stayed quiet. She mistook my silence for weakness, but really, it was strategy. Every insult she threw only hardened my resolve. The breaking point came when I overheard her on the phone with Ryan one night. She didn't know I was standing outside the door. "Yeah, it's almost done," she whispered. "Once I file, he won't know what hit him. We'll get everything. He's too dumb to fight back." Too dumb. That one cut deep. But it also lit a fire in me. If they thought I was too dumb, they weren't expecting the storm I was about to bring. By then, my decision was solid. Divorce wasn't just an option, it was inevitable. But I wouldn't go down begging. I'd go down swinging. So I called a lawyer of my own. Not flashy, not expensive, but tough. A guy named Frank Miller, who had a reputation for being ruthless in court. When I laid it all out for him, he didn't flinch. "Sounds like you've been played, Michael," he said, leaning back in his chair. "But if what you're telling me checks out, we've got a shot. It won't be pretty. It won't be easy. But we can make sure she doesn't walk away with everything." That was enough for me. Walking out of Frank's office, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Control. The decision was made. The line was drawn. Jessica thought she'd broken me. She thought she'd stripped me bare. But she forgot one thing. A man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous man of all. The divorce papers landed on the table like a grenade. Thick, heavy, packed with accusations so false they almost read like a parody. According to Jessica's filing, I was emotionally abusive, controlling, neglectful. She painted me as some paranoid monster, a bitter man who drove her into Ryan's arms. Reading those lies made my blood boil. She wasn't just cheating, she was rewriting history, turning me into the villain of a story where she strutted around as the victim. Frank, my lawyer, warned me the moment we opened the folder. "This is going to get ugly, Michael. She's playing the classic game. Cry victim, let the lawyer boyfriend steer the narrative, and milk you dry." And she did. Every court date felt like stepping into a circus. Jessica sat there looking fragile, tears glistening in her eyes, her hand wrapped tightly in Ryan's like he was her savior. Meanwhile, Ryan stood there smug, tossing out arguments with that polished lawyer tongue, twisting every scrap of truth into something poisonous. They didn't come just for the marriage, they came for everything. The house, the cars, the savings. But what stung most was the mention of my uncle's trust fund. That money wasn't just cash, it was security my family left for me, a safety net for when life went sideways. And Jessica, with Ryan whispering strategy in her ear, wanted it too. The hearings dragged on for months. Jessica didn't hold back with her dirty tricks. She claimed I had anger issues, waving stories of me punching walls, as if I'd ever laid a finger on her. She said I was unstable, unfit, incapable of managing finances. Every lie landed like another dagger in my back. I tried to fight, but fighting someone who knows the rules of the game better than you is like stepping into the ring blindfolded. Ryan shredded my statements, mocked my evidence, and every time I tried to speak, he twisted my words until they strangled me. One day, after a brutal session, I caught Jessica in the courthouse hallway, smirking at me like a cat with a cornered mouse. "You really thought you could beat me?" she whispered, leaning close so no one else could hear. "You're nothing, Michael. Nothing. Ryan and I are building an empire, and you're just fuel for the fire." That moment nearly broke me. By the time the final gavel hit, I was gutted. The house, gone. My savings, emptied. Even my trust fund, untouchable, or so I thought, was tied up in their legal maneuvers, funneled to keep Ryan's business afloat. Jessica got everything, while I walked out with a box of clothes and a mountain of debt. It felt surreal. I had worked 3 jobs at one point just to build the life we shared, and now that life belonged to her and her lawyer boyfriend. They didn't just steal my marriage, they stole my future. I ended up living in my car. That's the part that still stings the most. Imagine sitting in the back seat of your own beat-up sedan, staring out at the night, while your ex-wife and the man she cheated with sleep soundly in the house you paid for. That's where betrayal leaves you, curled up in a back seat, praying no one notices the guy who used to have it all now has nothing. It was humiliating. I showered at the gym, ate gas station sandwiches, worked my jobs like a ghost just to scrape by. I felt invisible, like I'd been erased. And then, one evening, a twist I never expected. My rich uncle, who I'd avoided telling about the mess, found out. He showed up at the gas station where I was working the night shift. His expensive car rolled up, window down, his face full of shock, when he saw me in that uniform. "Michael," he said, voice low but heavy. "What the hell are you doing here? Where's your house? Where's Jessica?" I froze, ashamed to admit the truth. But eventually, I spilled it all. The affair, the court battle, the lies, the betrayal. By the end, he was shaking his head in disbelief. "Living in your car? After everything I left you? And she and that snake lawyer are draining your trust fund?" That night, something changed. For the first time, I didn't feel completely alone. My uncle's anger wasn't at me, it was at them. And that gave me a flicker of something I hadn't felt in months. Maybe, just maybe, I wasn't finished yet. When you've been stripped of everything, house, money, dignity, you learn what survival really means. At first, I thought survival meant breathing through the pain, grinding through each day until the ache dulled. But survival is more than that. It's about clawing your way back from the wreckage, even when your hands are bleeding. After my uncle found me at the gas station, he wouldn't let it go. He kept calling, showing up, pushing me to get back on my feet. "Michael," he said one night over coffee, "you can sit in the ashes or you can rebuild. But you're not going to rot in that car." The shame was still heavy. I hated the idea of accepting help, hated feeling like a child again. But my uncle wasn't asking, he was demanding. He set me up in a small rental property he owned on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, 2 rooms, peeling paint, a leaky faucet. But to me, it felt like a castle. A bed that wasn't in the back seat of my sedan. A door that locked. A place where I could breathe. For the first time in months, I slept. Really slept. And when I woke up, something had shifted. I realized Jessica might have stolen my possessions, but she couldn't steal my will. That was mine, and it was still burning. I started small. Cleaning up. Shaving again. Eating real food instead of gas station garbage. It sounds simple, but when you've been broken, even cooking an egg feels like reclaiming ground. Work became my therapy. I picked up extra shifts, threw myself into the grind. Every hour on the clock was one step further from the mess Jessica left me in. Coworkers noticed. "Mike, you're different," one said. "You've got this fire in your eyes." They didn't know it was revenge mixed with survival, but I didn't correct them. Still, nights were the hardest. Lying in bed, my mind replayed everything. Her smirk in court, Ryan's smug little grin, the way she laughed with him the same way she used to laugh with me. Those images haunted me, but instead of drowning in them, I used them. They became fuel. I began documenting everything. Not because I thought I could win her back in court. No, that ship had sunk, but because I wanted the truth written down. My side, my story, every receipt, every text, every memory. It became a journal, part therapy, part weapon. If I ever got the chance, I'd use it. And people started coming out of the woodwork. Friends who'd gone quiet during the chaos reached out. Some apologized for staying silent. Others shared things they'd seen. Jessica flirting at parties, Ryan bragging at the office. Piece by piece, the picture of who she really was grew clearer, and it wasn't just me who saw it anymore. Then there was my uncle. He became my anchor. He'd call me every morning. "You up? Good. Go do something today. Don't sit in that bitterness too long. It'll eat you alive." Harsh, but true. He even hinted that maybe, just maybe, he had a plan to deal with Jessica and Ryan siphoning the trust fund. He didn't say what, and I didn't press. For the first time, I trusted someone else to carry part of the load. But the biggest shift came from inside me. I realized Jessica's betrayal had given me 2 choices. Let it define me as the man she described. Weak, pathetic, nothing. Or become someone stronger than she ever imagined. Someone who didn't just survive betrayal, but grew sharper because of it. So I started working out again. At first, it was just push-ups on the floor of that little rental. Then runs through the neighborhood. With every drop of sweat, I felt the old me. No, the new me, forming. One night, while running, I stopped at a hill overlooking the city. The skyline glittered in the distance, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel crushed by it. I felt ready. Ready to rebuild. Ready to fight back. Ready to live, even if it meant starting from nothing. Jessica thought she buried me. But she didn't bury me. She planted me. And now, I was starting to grow back. Looking back now, I almost don't recognize the man who sat in that car outside my old house, fists shaking as he listened to his wife betray him upstairs. That man was raw, naive, broken. Today, I'm not healed. Let's not sugarcoat it, but I'm sharper. wiser, harder to fool. Jessica and Ryan thought they destroyed me. In a way, they did. They tore down the old life, the old version of Michael who believed love was enough, who trusted without question, who thought marriage vows meant something permanent. That man is gone. But in his place stands someone they never expected, someone who doesn't just survive betrayal, but builds fire from it. The hardest lesson I learned is this: betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the people you let closest, the ones you'd bet your life on. And when it happens, it cracks something deep inside you. For weeks, months, I was consumed by the question, why wasn't I enough? But here's the truth I had to choke down before I could breathe again. It was never about me not being enough. It was about her never being capable of loyalty. Jessica could lie like she breathed. She could smile while stabbing you, cry on command, and make strangers pity her while she laughed behind their backs. She wasn't a partner. She was a parasite. And parasites don't change. They just find new hosts. Ryan thinks he won. Maybe on paper, he did. He got the house, the money, the woman. But I know how parasites work. Today it's exciting. Tomorrow it's draining. One day, he'll wake up and realize the same venom she used on me will sink into him too. And when that day comes, I won't need revenge. The universe will handle it for me. As for me, my uncle was right. You can lose everything, your house, your money, your so-called love, and still rebuild. But if you let them steal your self-respect, you're done. That's the one thing I refused to give Jessica, no matter how hard she tried to grind it out of me. So what did I learn? I learned that you can't ignore your gut. All those late nights, all those excuses, I knew deep down something was wrong. But I wanted to believe her lies because believing was easier than facing the truth. That's mistake number one. If your instincts scream at you, listen. Don't wait until you're standing outside your own bedroom door, hearing the woman you love whisper someone else's name. I also learned that when life burns you to the ground, you find out who you really are. Do you curl up in the ashes and wait to die? Or do you crawl out, coughing, bloody, and start stacking the bricks again? I crawled. And now I'm stacking. Slowly, painfully, but with purpose. To any man reading this, sitting where I sat, confused, broken, staring at the wreckage of what you thought was forever, hear me. It's not the end. It feels like it, I know. It feels like your chest is hollow, like your hands are empty, like your future has been stolen. But those bastards can't steal your will. They can't steal your ability to rebuild. And that's what matters. Jessica's gone. Good riddance. Ryan's still strutting around in my old shoes. But one day those shoes will wear holes, and he'll learn what it feels like to walk barefoot on glass. Me? I'm already barefoot, already cut, but each scar is callous now, stronger than skin. If I could give one piece of advice, it's this: don't fight to keep what doesn't value you. Don't waste your soul begging for loyalty from someone who spits on it. Walk away. Let them rot in their own lies. Focus on yourself, your future, your peace. My rich uncle was the one who pulled me out of the car, but I was the one who chose to stand. That's the difference. No one can stand for you. You have to do it yourself. Jessica and Ryan may have stolen my property, my savings, even my trust fund, but they didn't steal me. And that's why I'll win in the long run. Not in court, not in dollars, not in houses, but in life. Because every day I wake up and choose to move forward, I'm proving them wrong. So here's to betrayal, to heartbreak, to the ashes of what was. Because sometimes, the only way to find out who you are is to lose everything you thought you couldn't live without. And me? I'm still here. Stronger. Wiser. Alive.